right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good morning. Of course, I'm glad that you're watching Afriq TV, and I'm glad that you're tuned in to this Afriq political talk show. Welcome on board. Welcome. And if you're joining me for the first time, ensure that you subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification bell, and invite others also to do so. So today, I want to welcome you to this wonderful show. It's indeed a wonderful day. We are in the second day of the week, that is Tuesday, second day of April, and people have just finished celebrating their Easter festives. People enjoyed their Good Friday. People enjoyed their Dark Saturday, and for the many Christians across the world, within the country and within Africa, they managed to celebrate the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are back connecting you with African stories. We are back bringing you what is happening in the world of politics. And of course, each and every day at this particular time, we have these political talk shows that gives you an opportunity to interact with what is happening in Kenyan politics with an aim of ensuring that we have a better and a sanitized politics played within our country. So once again, allow me to welcome you. Allow me to welcome you. And I know as some of you are still in the Easter mood, I just want to wish you a happy Easter, even though it's now winding up, and today and tomorrow people will be getting back to work. And for our Muslim brothers and sisters, next week we're also going to have Ramadan. So I also just want to wish them well, wish them good health as they're winding up the holy month of Ramadan. So karibuni. Leo tuna mengi. A lot has happened during the week. We've had some political pronouncements. We've had a lot happening in the economy. We've also had a lot happening in our social welfare. Of course, over the weekend, we saw the Safari Rally in Naivasha. Though there was a lot of rain, I don't know if that is why people did not turn up as many as they always do, but it was successful. We've seen people traveling with their families. Of course, we've also had some accidents here and there, and we keep on urging people to take care of themselves and ensure that they are safe. So what is hot? What is trending? What is hitting the headlines in our political scene? Of course, there's a lot that is happening that we're going to look at. We'll start with the suspension of the NADCO report by a court in Kiambu. Remember that this report was handed over to the President William Ruto and Raila Odinga, and was taken to Parliament for adoption so that it can be implemented. So what happened? A Kenyan decided to go to court, and the High Court sitting in Kiambu suspended the implementation of the National Dialogue Committee report pending a hearing and determination of a case that was filed by an activist called Michael Muchemi. So the petitioner told the court that any attempt to have Parliament process the contents of the NADCO report will plunge the country into unprecedented constitutional crisis. And for sure, this made sense before the Lady Justice Dora Chepkwony, who issued orders suspending the implementation of the report. Then what happened later after the report was suspended? We've had so many politicians give their pronouncement, with some of them registering their disappointments. And if you did manage to listen to one, Martha Karua, she really spoke on it, and Karua actually really wondered the timing of the court. Why is it happening now? And he distanced herself from the NADCO report, raising concerns about the timing of its suspension by the courts and calling for Raila and William Ruto to provide the clarity on the report. She alleged that the report was a long con that was designed to facilitate the Kenya Kwanza legislative agenda. And we've also had Kalonzo Musyoka, who is also against the suspension, and Kalonzo Musyoka insisted and said that this report has to be implemented fully, and any attempt to stop its implementation, then he himself, Kalonzo Musyoka, is going to call for demonstration. The same utterances also came from one Eugene Wamalwa. So the question that maybe we're asking, and they also Raila jetted back, but he not spoken on this. I don't know if he lacked some words or he's yet to give his statement concerning the suspension of the implementation of NADCO report. And some experts, political experts, try to see it as if Raila is now sorted because, maybe they had an agreement. He's going for an AU job, something that will keep him away for years without engaging in political activities within the country. William Ruto maybe is also satisfied. He's the president of Kenya. He's controlling the majority in the parliament. So the people that maybe are worried and they feel that it's like they've been left in the darkness are people like Martha Karua, people like Eugene Wamalwa and Kalonzo. And of course, over this week, we've seen an aggressive Kalonzo. People have always been calling this gentleman a watermelon. I don't know why. But we've seen Kalonzo being so aggressive. We've seen Kalonzo campaigning and traversing the country, trying to popularize himself, ready to take it from his Azimio partner or principal and the leader of ODM. So we are also going to look at that and many more activities that are happening in the country. So let me give this opportunity to Boniface just to say hi and maybe tell us how his Easter was before we get into the political discussions that we're going to have. So Boniface, karibu sana. I hope you had a fabulous Easter. Sijui kama uli manage kufika Naivasha ama bado hujanunua Subaru.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. And my Easter was good. I witnessed Jesus resurrecting, and that was something that happened in my life because I am a big follower of Jesus Christ, and whenever I saw him resurrecting, then I was happy. I knew that my sins have been washed away because Jesus came to rescue, and he came to save people. And for those who went to Naivasha, I think they enjoyed their tour there. Personally, I was in Nairobi. I did not go there because still I have been busy. But again, I want to think that people enjoyed their show, people enjoyed their days off. And now we are back and we saw how people were dragging themselves today as they go to work. We are ready, and Afriq 24, we are back again so that we can educate them here on our live show. I think your holiday was fine, Mr. Leo, because I can see you had a good holiday. I called you. I heard how you were so happy. You enjoyed your holiday. That is why I can see you smiling here. Thank you so much, and we are back.
Thank you so much, Boniface, and of course, welcome to this conversation. So I'll just start our story with the comments that were made by one Kalonzo Musyoka after a court in Kiambu suspended the implementation of the NADCO report. He so disappointed and threatened that if this report is not going to be implemented, then what is going to happen? Kenyans are going to the street. So he threatened that he's going to call for mandamano. So maybe we are waiting to see what is going to happen if Kalonzo will make good his threat to go to the street. And maybe the question that as we are going to have this conversation, we are going to ask ourselves, is Kalonzo going to the street because the NADCO report is having something beneficial that is going to benefit Kenyans, maybe economically or in different in various angles, or he's going to call the demonstrations as a warm up, trying to test waters to see if he can be able to maybe fill the gap that has been left by Raila Odinga. Is he trying to threaten the government so that he can get an opportunity to use to popularize himself and maybe try identify himself with the opposition politics? Remember, people have always known Kalonzo as somebody who is quiet, somebody of few words, and somebody who rarely speaks when even things get worse. He will always he's a peacemaker and something like that. He's not known with this kind of aggressive politics of responding to the government and planning or threatening some demonstration. But from what he said today or yesterday, one would think that Kalonzo is trying to prepare himself to take over the opposition politics and to become an alternative government and maybe, inshallah, be the next president in 2027. So, Bonfaza, okay, as you get back, let me just play this video for my viewers. Then from that, we'll be able to get our comments or our views or analysis on the same.
On the return of maandamano.
Hata kama ni kurudi kwa mitaa, kwa streets, tuko tayari kabisa. Lakini ijulikane sio sisi ambao tunaenda kwa kurudi kwa streets tena demonstrations. Kenya is already on the streets.
Words echoed by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka with signs that implementation of the document birthed following talks between Azimio la Umoja One Kenya and Kenya Kwanza could be in limbo. This is after the court suspends the implementation of the NADCO report. It has been 8 months since protests were witnessed in the country. What feelings does Kalonzo's speech evoke?
Whatever he says, whatever he proposes, now needs to be ground truth. For example, if he says we need to go back to demonstrations, does he have what it takes to organize demonstrations?
Kalonzo might have started the journey to succeed Azimio leader Raila Odinga's political base since his return to the country on Friday after 10 days away. He has not spoken about the actions taken by the court regarding the negotiations he fought for.
Baba has struck a deal on his future, and his future's around AU and being the chairperson of that commission. An executive role that he needs to play over the next couple of years, 7 years, longer than a presidential term. Does that leave a gap in Azimio? Obviously it does.
Democratic Action Party leader Eugene Wamalwa has also faulted the government.
They came with dangerous cards hidden under the table. And I believe they have started playing those dangerous cards in parliament through delay and in courts through derailment that is now happening.
Kikuyu MP and leader of Majority Kimani Ichung'wah has confirmed that the National Dialogue Commission report will be implemented amid its doubt over court's injunction.
The NADCO report, as adopted by Parliament, will be implemented, and we have all the goodwill to implement that report in the manner it was passed.
The emerging issue now is whether the opposition leader Raila Odinga ignored the bipartisan talk to push on the AU job campaigns and indeed maintain a good relationship with President William Ruto for his future benefits. Vera Mura, KTN News.
Yes, Bonnie, I think you've heard that, and that is Kalonzo Musyoka protesting that, this bipartisan or the NADCO report has to be implemented. And Eugene is also saying that it's like the Kenya Kwanza came with some dangerous cards, and now they're playing the cards. They're delaying the implementation through the parliament, and they are also using courts to suspend the implementation. So I just want I want you to look at it into these directions. Number one, the silence of Raila Odinga on this, because when the court stopped the implementation of NADCO report, Raila has not spoken on it, and of late, people don't feel Raila's aggressive politics of opposing the government. It's like he's gone silent. So does it mean that he's already sorted, or he's just silent because he needs the presidential or the government support in pursuing his AU chairmanship? If that is true, then is that one not betraying the cause that he started? Remember, he's the one who started these bipartisan dialogues and sent the representatives, Kalonzo and Eugene, who were present over there. So what do you think is not happening? Before I even talk of what Karua said, what do you think is not happening? Kalonzo said he's going to call for maandamano. And he's saying that it's like the government is playing, the Kenya Kwanza is playing for them some bad games. You know, when I talk of bad games somewhere, some rough games somewhere. What is your feeling on this?
Thank you so much. And I want to say this confidently that these three guys, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, William Ruto, and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, they have one thing in common, and there is something that they are cooking. We will just see it before 2027 comes to our mind, because what I can see is that Raila is trying to act humble to this government, because I know from the support of the government, then he definitely is going to get a lot of votes. And again, William Ruto has already started the campaign for him in the other African countries. So calling for Mandamano, Raila Amolo Odinga is quiet, because he knows that William Ruto is cooking something, and is trying to support him for the AU chairmanship. That's why he has been silent. He has not been actively involved in this opposition. So he knows what he wants, and he knows that anytime he acts contrary to William Ruto, then he definitely things are not going to add up when it comes to AU chairmanship. So I think William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga, they have one thing in common. So Kalonzo is there hanging like a crocodile. He needs to understand that William Ruto is supporting Raila Amolo Odinga. That's why Raila is there being silent. So it is going to take long, and it is time for William Ruto now to act and know what he wants to come 2027. Because if Raila Amolo Odinga is quiet, then other leaders are still going to be quiet unless Kalonzo Musyoka calls for the maandamano. Then for what? You will call for maandamano, because I heard him saying that he will go back to the streets. But Raila Amolo Odinga, if he is quiet, then a lot of questions are going to be raised there. And again, they will be rhetorical questions, because if Raila Amolo Odinga is quiet, then it means that he has been satisfied by the government. So who are you to go to the streets back and try to mobilize Kenyans to start maandamano? So I think Kenyans are confused. Since the introduction of this AU chairmanship, people are so confused, and a lot of people don't know what is the opposition heading to. Yeah.
Thank you, Boniface, for that that input. I think I did get you well. That since there's a thing called AUC chairmanship, and since Raila declared his interest, it seems that things have changed in the opposition camp, because Raila is now torn between getting the AU chairmanship, something that he really needs the support of not only the president, but he needs the support of the government, because whenever he's campaigning for this position, because he's going to represent Kenya over there, he's not going to be using his personal resources, but the government is going to facilitate such kind of things. So somebody might think or might guess that Raila doesn't want to be in problem with the government, because you cannot bite a hand that feeds you, because right now he needs the government more than the government needs him. So he doesn't want to be in trouble with the government. So somebody will ask, does it now mean that the government have really managed to manipulate or to blackmail Raila with the AU position, so that they can be able to advance their legislative agenda? This according to Martha Karua. Then apart from that, yes, you're saying that I can see Good is saying Raila is not going anywhere. Boniface, remember what I said about the triplets on board, that is Ruto. He's talking of Ruto William, Raila Odinga, and Uhuru Kenyatta. Geoffrey Ruto is saying that if Raila ignores the National Dialogue Committee report, then Kalonzo is headed nowhere. I want us to look at this, Bonnie. Raila ignoring the national dialogue. Don't you think this one is giving Kalonzo an opportunity to prove himself, or an opportunity to popularize himself and make himself aggressive? You've seen Kalonzo has been walking over the last 1 week. He's been traversing this country. He was in Mombasa. He visited Kisii. He visited some part of the central Kenya in a bid to try and popularize himself, to try and identify with the people. So don't you think that if Raila decides to keep quiet, it's like he's passing the baton to Kalonzo or whoever wants to take over the opposition. You know, the opposition is the government in waiting, because if they take over and manage it well, likely they can't find themselves elected in 2027 and become the next government. So is this not an opportunity for Kalonzo now to rise and prove himself?
What I can say is Kalonzo will take a lot of years so that he can prove himself to Kenya. He needs to go to every part of the country. You know, he always depends with Ukambani and some parts of northeastern. So what I can say is Kalonzo will take a lot of time so that he can identify himself as the president of the Republic of Kenya. People don't know him. Of course, they don't know what is going to serve. And a lot of people have been saying that Kalonzo is very soft. You know, Kenyans want a leader who is very vocal, and a leader who is adapted to talking hardcore terms. Someone who understands what is Kenyan politics. So this confusion that is happening, I think it will give Kalonzo some energy, but again, that energy cannot give him the guarantee to just build himself and be trusted by Kenyans, so that he can run for presidency and people vote for him in 2027. So what I can say is Kalonzo is still got a long way to go. He has a long way to go so that he can identify himself to Kenyans, and Kenyans understands that Kalonzo can be the next king, can be the next president. It is not easy to become the president.
Why do you think that Kalonzo has got a long way to go? Right now, if Raila exists, he's the senior most politician in Azimio, because even if you look at in terms of following, people believe that Martha Karua, who was Raila's running mate in the last general election, doesn't have that ground support. So when we talk of somebody who's having ground support, then we are having Kalonzo. I remember Eugene Wamalwa, the party leader of the DAP-Kenya, is also positioning himself. Maybe he might want to deputize Kalonzo or something like that, even though that we're going to look at when we are going to look at something that is happening in ODM shortly after that. So why do you think that Kalonzo still has got a long way to go? You've already started campaigning, though people would argue that people are yet to know his ideologies or what he identifies himself with, because the only thing he's saying now is threatening that he's going to call for demonstrations if this thing is not implemented, and complaining how the Kenya Kwanza came with some hidden cards. What is it that he's lacking?
What is there is Kalonzo has been so reluctant, not unless now we can see him moving from one part to the other of the country. So what I can say is Kalonzo, if he needs to be the president of this country, he needs to move north, south, east, west, so that people can understand what he wants and what is he going to do to Kenyans, because Kenyans want to know. Kenyans want to be convinced that you can be the president of this country. So what I can say is Kalonzo, he is trying, but again, he needs to put more effort so that he can tell Kenyans what is going to cook when he becomes the president of this country. Because as you can see from the suggestions, people are saying, very few are saying that Kalonzo is going to replace Raila Odinga when it comes to this presidency. So a lot of people are being suggested, but Kalonzo comes to the list of those people who are being suggested, because they think that they don't have trust with him when he becomes the next leader of this opposition. So it is going to be tough for Kalonzo, but I think now he understands that people are, those leaders, even they have been friends, they have been together in Azimio, but again now they don't trust him. He knows that they don't trust him. Very few trust him. Only Ukambani people. You have been hearing Mutula Kalonzo Jr., Governor Wavinya, Governor Malombe. They have been supporting him. But again, only Ukambani people are trying to support him. But when you go to Western, can you just, if I may ask, what one leader who has been supporting Kalonzo Musyoka? Would you hear Otieno Kajwang supporting Kalonzo Musyoka, or any other leader there who is Gladys Wanga supporting Kalonzo Musyoka to be the next king? Have you heard there? No. So it shows that they don't have trust in him.
Okay, even you can look getting through the comments there. I can see Goodyear is saying that Kalonzo is doing a great job at the moment. Visiting cost was a big deal. I sound like a broken record, but Kalonzo has got no presence and is a backyard politician who leads from the back and people shadows. Goodyear, I think I totally agree with you, and that is. The brand of politics that Kalonzo have been playing. Yes, he's been in politics quite longer than William Ruto, and he's been a minister. There's somebody who's been a vice president, a vice president, although he's been a foreign affairs minister and such kind of things. But what happens is that he likes to lead from the back. But aren't you seeing now he's been given an opportunity to lead from the front? What happened in Coast can't be good, because later on we are going to look at the ODM politics, of which the agreement that they might have if Raila is not on the ballot, then obviously if WIFA produces the presidential candidate, then ODM will have to produce the running mate. So if you look at that, he's also calculating with the ODM succession, because the person who will become the ODM party leader is likely to have an higher opportunity of being on the ballot or deputizing or being a running mate to the person who will be on the ballot. That is why it's wise for him to go to Coast and try to make some strong relationships with one Ali Hassan Joho, hoping that if Joho becomes the party leader of ODM, then Joho is likely to deputize him. At the same time, you also need to go to Western and make some good relationships with one Oparanya, who is the current deputy party leader. So shall it go Oparanya's side, then he should also be in good relationship so that Oparanya can be able to deputize him. You also need to make some rapport with people like Sifuna and Babu Owino, who are youthful leaders in ODM, who are also seen as a third force to take over the ODM leadership. So shall it happen that the youthful wing of ODM managed to run away with the party, then he stands a chance to get close to these people. So far we can say it's good. But there's one thing that Bonnie, you've seen Kalonzo moving. He went to Mombasa, he went to Central, he went to southern parts of Nyanza. Right now, is there any agenda or ideology that you can associate Kalonzo with? Like, when somebody is speaking, when William Ruto was campaigning, he had an ideology of bottoms up. And that is what he marketed. Whenever he went somewhere, he will tell people bottom up, hustlers, and such kind of things. Do you have such kind of thing with Kalonzo right now? Like, is he telling people what he's going to do when he's elected president, or is just going there to repeat what has already been said, or to react to what the Kenya Kwanza government have done? Like in the video that I played, he's reacting to courts suspending the NADCO report from being implemented. So does he have some ideology that he can be able to sell to Kenyans early enough so that he can manage to use that kind of ideology to ride himself to the house on the hill, that is State House? And Geoffrey Ruto is also asking a good question that how will Kalonzo lead Mandamano? And he's scared, afraid of tear gas. I think Geoffrey, Mandamano is not all about tear gas. Right now, the doctors are demonstrating. Okay, that is debatable. Boniface, any ideology that you can identify Kalonzo with? What does he stand for? What is he going to do to Kenyans when he's elected?
That is why I'm saying that he lacks the strategy. You need when you want to become the president of this country, you need to strategize, because William Ruto, when he was campaigning, he strategized and he marketed himself to Kenyans. He had marketed himself such that whenever you go, even small children were saying a hustler nation. So he identified himself as the hustler, and he wanted to change this country. That is why many people voted for him. That is August 2022 general election, because he had a strategy, he had a methodology that he induced. It was like a dosage that he induced to Kenya. So Kalonzo is still there bragging, but whenever he is having those meetings and also having those merry-go-round all over the country, he doesn't even say what he wants, because I've never seen him. What I heard is like he was saying, Raila is going for AU. Then when he goes, we have Ango Steve there. We also have Niango Steve, Amani and Steve. It's like he lacks confidence with him. He doesn't have that confidence that he can be the next leader. He can be the next king of this country. That's why he's saying Raila akienda huko tutabaki na Ango Steve ama and Steve nini nini. That is someone who lacks confidence. If you have the confidence, then say, when Raila joins the AU, then definitely I'm going to step in and become the next leader of this opposition, and I'm going to vie for presidency come 2027. So confidently, Kenyans will understand that what you want is being the president, and you will have to develop your own methodologies on how you're going to compete William Ruto, because it is not easy to compete William Ruto and win that seat, because it's going to be tough come 2027. What I can say, because Ruto is there. Still, he has one term to go. So Kalonzo, if he plays low, then definitely is going to be defeated by Ruto.
I get you. There is a concern that maybe somebody might be able to know. Okay, there is a chance for Kalonzo, but he's not ruthless. And I feel like he needs a good surrounding and loyal people around him. He definitely has weak bonds, though he's a nice guy in real life. But I think politics is not for the wicked. Specifically, African politics is not for the Cerelac and how do you call it?
Because what is there? It does not pay to be a nice guy all the time.
Yeah. Politics is not for the wicked. Politics is not for those people who eat. How do you call these other things? The kids eat.
I really like the confidence that is being displayed by Senator Edwin Sifuna. He stood up during the certain meeting and he said, "I want to declare that Honorable His Excellency Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, I am not your friend, and you know that. That is someone who is very vocal and he can say anything without fear." So I think those are the kind of leaders Kenyans want.
All right. Maybe if you also forgot, Edwin Sifuna made himself the Secretary General of ODM. Nobody convened a NEC to elect him. Nobody appointed him in that position. When he saw Ababu Namwamba leave or misbehave, or what they claimed Ababu Namwamba betrayed the ODM party, Edwin Sifuna called a press conference and named himself this party secretary general. A position is now serving, I think, for the 8th year. So those are the kind of people that I think politics that we have, or the politics that we play in Kenya need. They don't need people who cry over Weetabix that they've been denied Weetabix and cry. So we are yet to see. So Boniface, I have this pressing question. Do you think that Raila has now betrayed the members who are in Azimio, now that he knows he's secured his future, or he's likely to secure his political future, or he's likely to get it to AU, meaning his side will be sorted? So he now doesn't want to get interested in what happened with NADCO, who becomes who or what becomes who. Is that or not a kind of betrayal? Kuacha wenzake kwa mataa?
No. That in one way it can be betrayal, but again, this one is the high time that we get new leaders. Raila has been there for a long time. He has been leading this country as the opposition for a long time. It is high time we get new leaders, and that is why now we are trying to know who can fit the steps, who can be the next king when it comes to the opposition. And as I always say, it will be a very tough decision for Azimio to determine who is the next leader of this opposition, because people believe this is a party that has been there. And yesterday, as I heard Raila Odinga saying that he will not accept anyone who will be trying to make the party belong to a certain tribe, a certain region, but again, let's make the party be for Kenyans, because it has been there for a long time. So what I can say is that Raila joining there, it may be a betrayal because he has been silent. He has not been acting as required because he has been the opposition. But again, he want to get that AU chairmanship. That is why he wants the support from the president. So leaders are now trying to collide on who will become the next leader of the opposition. But again, we heard Babu Wino saying that Baba amenionyesha njia, and he has always been saying that Raila Odinga has been showing him the ways. He still want to be there. And again, I'm very sure that whoever will be voted to be the next leader of Azimio, Babu Wino will not accept until he is there. So it is going to be tough. A lot of leaders have raised eyebrows on taking over the leadership. And Alonso is there, Karua is there, Babu Wino is there. So Eugene Wamalo is there. It is going to be a tough decision. I think Raila Odinga is going to make a tough decision. But again, this one, they will come into consensus and try to suggest names. And that is how they are going to vote. Definitely there will be a voting or an appointment. But again, who is going to be appointed? Will they have the qualities? Will they have the qualification to be the next king? Will they take this country opposition as it has been there for a long time?
I want you to get this. This is what Karua had to say, and she was really disappointed. Let me see if I can get the message that she tweeted. This is what Karua had to say concerning the NADCO report. She said NADCO report was all along meant for a pacifier, as a pacifier for the restless masses, jobs for the big boys, and pushing ahead the Kenya Kwanza regime's legislative agenda. That is what Karua said. Do you think that Karua feels that she has been betrayed? The jobs have been created for the big boys, and the Kenya Kwanza has managed to tame the opposition and the Kenyans who felt that things were not going on well. Kenya Kwanza have managed to keep Azimio and the protesters out of the streets. Does it mean that Karua have realized that this was a long con just to manage them, and the Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto have successfully managed to manage them? Or Karua is just concerned that things are not getting on well?
What I can say is Karua wants to take over leadership of Azimio. That is why she has been saying Kalonzo to go and campaign for himself so that he can be the next leader of this country. But again, people have been asking, what is the contribution that Karua has brought to the Azimio? Since she was the deputy, she was the running mate of Raila Odinga in 2022. What did she brought onto the table when it comes to elections? Because she brought nothing, actually. People said she brought nothing, and the number of votes that she contributed when it comes to general election were so few. So she wants to take over. She wants to be the next, because she has been the running mate. Now she wants to be the next leader. She wants to be the king of Azimio. But again, does Kenyans trust Mother Karua? Will she be able to defeat William Ruto in 2027?
I think that a serious question of what are you bringing on the table, though we can't dismiss her for having brought nothing. You know, in politics, people contribute differently. We have people who cannot marshal some votes, but they can bring in ideas, or they can bring in some faces that people can identify with and say, if Mother Karua is on that side, then that side seem maybe to be more organized and something like that. So we can't wish her. And let me just get through this. We have been recycling our MPs, and that is why we don't have choices. We are born knowing some ministers and we keep them till retirement. That is true. We are born knowing some names that if you come outside those names, you cannot be able to have your space. We are born knowing specific families. It is not only of the people who've been contesting for presidency. It's just like Kenyans don't do research. If you look at the members of parliament that we have, the governors that we have, you'll find that one, or maybe let me say, all of them, they are related to somebody who was prominent or somebody who was powerful at some point. Yeah, you look at Edwin Sifuna and somebody will tell you that, see, Sifuna came from nowhere. Sifuna didn't come from nowhere. Yeah, his father, his uncle, the immediate family was an MP. You go to Nakuru, you look at Susan Kihika, you know who the Kihika was. So all these people that we see, most of them have been riding on these prominent names, and you can relate them with somebody who was more powerful, somebody who was more influential. Look at Mudavadi, the family he comes from. So I agree with the Goodyear, but that is a problem that we have. We limit our choices. We don't want to expand the choices. We don't want to expand the check boxes so that we can be able to check on different options. Like right now, if people are talking of succession politics, people are talking of who is going to contest against William Ruto. Obviously, the people there will have to narrow our reasoning to Kalonzo. Nobody will talk of somebody who is maybe who is not even known but can become a good president. But at the end of the day, these elections, you'll find that they'll get narrowed down to the same people. Like right now, people have started the contest between William Ruto and Kalonzo Musyoka. Nobody is talking of maybe like Boniface can be able to challenge William Ruto. Nobody is saying that, okay, we can have somebody called Ligade challenging William Ruto. Or nobody is saying that we can have somebody like Patrick Lumumba challenging William Ruto. But the politicians have also mastered this art, and they've known how we think to an extent that they influence our thinking. They narrow our thinking to specific people. Then once it has been narrowed, like there's this narrative, I don't think we should be agreeing it, that nobody can be able to challenge William Ruto apart from Raila. So this kind of thing is what will make Raila to always want to be on the ballot paper. There's this feeling that Kalonzo is not so aggressive to challenge William Ruto. This is what will make Kalonzo to feel that I cannot be able. There's this kind of feeling that Martha Karua doesn't have followers. So I agree with you, Bonnie, that is what is happening in this country. And as a country, we need to change so that we can be able to move on. And they've already started planning for 2027. They've already started creating narratives. And Boniface, I know maybe you're not aware of this. One, Musalia Mudavadi has promised us another earthquake. Yeah, Mudavadi has said that there's another earthquake that is coming. He will not say it today. I just want you to listen to this video. Then after that, I'll be able to know what you have to say about it. As we still look at what is happening in the Western country. Look at this.
I want to make it clear, and to other ANC supporters, although I may not be the official party leader today, but as a strong member of the ANC party, I must tell you, frankly, our conversation must be serious about how to strengthen the Kenya Kwanza administration and how to work very, very closely with the UDA, which is the principal party in the coalition, and to even engage in even deeper debates. Don't ask me which deeper debates. Hiyo nitawaambia baadaye. Earthquake ingine itakuja huko mbele. But the message...
That is Musalia Mudavadi. He is the party leader of ANC, and even maybe because of some constitutional requirements that when you're cabinet secretary, but the person who is the party leader currently is just like a regent. He's somebody who is just holding brief for him. Anytime he gets out of that position, he'll just get back there. You've had Mudavadi appearing to suggest the potential winding up of ANC and leading its members to UDA, whereby very soon we are going to see members of ANC defecting to UDA. Could it be he realized that ANC has some limited popularity in Western Kenya? And when this one happens, consequently, it means that it will leave ODM, DAP-KENYA, and UDA as the leading parties with the presence and influence in Western Kenya. If you look at the numbers in parliament, majority of MPs and the elected leaders in Western Kenya are either elected in ODM. DAP-KENYA tried to get some numbers, and UDA, and some bunch of them are from Ford Kenya. But if Musalia Mudavadi, who for the first time lost his party member who joined UDA and is the current Secretary General of UDA, that is Cleophas Malala, do you think he realized that he doesn't have any influence in Western and he now wants people to join UDA? Could this one be linked to maybe he sensed some threats from the DAP-KENYA party? I think, is it the deputy party leader? Natembeya, who is giving them sleepless nights there. So now they want to wind up this ANC, and obviously the Ford Kenya will also have to follow suit because it will not survive alone. So are they running away from Natembeya, or they just want to make UDA one big political vehicle?
There is a monopoly in this country, something that is cooking. They are trying to monopolize these political parties, and they want to make UDA one of the prominent parties, so that everyone else who is going to act contrary to this party, then definitely they are going to lose. Because personally, I think ANC has been inactive, and what has it contributed to this country? So those are just political parties that were there for a long time, and people always believe that they are there. But again, what they contribute is totally nothing, because UDA just came the other day, but now it is becoming one of the biggest political parties. So they are trying to come together and form a party that is strong, and a party that can give competition when it comes to a general election. And that is why, if they come together, we saw them coming together, and they joined UDA. Now they want to join all the members of ANC. It's like there's something that William Ruto induces to these followers. Because now, if someone can try to dissolve and come together with the members to join UDA, then what is that? It's like there is a monopoly in these political parties. And I think this one is going to be a very tough competition, because if now people are joining to UDA, then who will be the opposition? Only Edwin Sifuna, Babu Wino, Wamalo, and other leaders who will be there for Azimio. So it is not going to be easy, because UDA is acting as one of the best political parties, because now they are forming members from every part of the country. So it is not going to be easy for any party to defeat UDA.
Is not going to be easy for any party to defeat UDA. Mudavadi has hinted at another earthquake. This is an earthquake that is going to see the members of ANC defect and join UDA. What if somebody is having a school of thought that Natembeya is already giving them sleepless nights, so they are running away, and they are not able to build the ANC? ANC has existed, and the ANC was there before UDA, and they normally say it's only small streams that will always have to join large streams. So they've realized that they don't have any influence, any presence, so they want now to join the bigger party. Then, and a question that I need to get from you, Boniface, where does this one leave the Mulembe nation? Most of the leading communities in Kenya have got a political party that they identify with. Whether we accept it or we deny it is a fact. When you go to the people of Nyanza, the Luos and the Kisis, most of them will tell you their party is ODM. In Western, we've been having ANC, we've been having Ford Kenya and ODM. Actually, when you go to Central Kenya, they used to have Jubilee. Right now, they're having UDA. When you go to Rift Valley, when you go to Coast, there's some parties that identify with them. When you go to the eastern part, that is the Kambas, they are having their Wiper. So, where is the state of the Luo, the second largest community in Kenya? One of their
That is where
own.
Natembea.
Does it
Natembea
give
now.
Natembea now an opportunity? As I go through the comments, I can see Mason Sanders. Kalonzo is only upset that the opposition office is looking like a pipe dream by the day. I get you. Each time Mudavadi talks about earthquakes, things do happen. Azimio is heading to ground zero. Good year. Elaborate on that. Brother Benson, karibu sana. I can see Brother Benson Media. Yeah, Brother Benson Media is also an interesting media. For those people who like watching interviews, and I know one of these fine days you'll find your MCA, your MP, your women rep, or somebody you really revere being interviewed there, so you can keep on checking with him so that you can get to know what is happening there too. Hello, NADCO report implementation may not see the light of the day. Yes, the NADCO report has already been halted by court. The court has stopped the implementation, awaiting the hearing and determination. And this one has made Martha Karua was the first one to react, and she claimed that this report was just a pacifier to buy time and to allow the Kenya Kwanza advance their legislative agenda. It was another con. We saw Kalonzo Musyoka opposing it and saying that this report has to be implemented. And if it is not implemented, he's going to call for Mandamano. Same to Eugene Wamalwa, the party leader, DAP-Kenya, says that Kenya Kwanza came with some hidden cards. They did not play their cards on top of the table. So it's something that he read before. Remember, Eugene Wamalwa was part of the team that participated in these talks, came up with these recommendations, but later on, he refused to give his final signature. He also refused to pick the allowances or the pay that people were given, claiming that the most important issues like the cost of living weren't discussed, but he was part of this process. So we don't know whether he's genuine or not genuine. Could it be that the guys are opposing it? They're opposing it because they are realizing that, okay, if this thing is not implemented, there's nothing for them. But if it is implemented, now that Raila might not be there, obviously one of them will hold that office of the opposition leader and the two deputies. So it could be they have a feeling that this thing is not going to happen. And somebody is also asking, why is Raila silent on this? They've said the report is not going to be implemented because there's a case in court. And when something goes to court, the court has got the right to say that this thing did not follow the legal requirement, just as what happened to BBI. The taxpayers' money has been used, a lot of time has been spent, and now you want to tell Kenyans that all this thing was infidelity, all these taxpayers' money that was spent within those 3 months with these leaders drawing allowances was just a waste of taxpayers' money when this thing cannot be implemented. Ladies and gentlemen, let us speak as Kenyans. Let us talk as Kenyans. Are we not doing things the same way and expecting different results? Of course, you know that is insanity. We had the same with BBI. The court stopped it. Are we doing the same mistake? Let Kalonzo call for Mandamano and demand for his opposition office. Manson Sanders, you want Kalonzo to call for Mandamano? And these guys are saying Kalonzo cannot call for Mandamano. And he now has got the right time to prove himself. Otherwise, let me once again welcome you to this show. This is Afriq 24-hour TV. We have political talk shows every day. And apart from that, we are also having some other programs that we ensure will always satisfy your viewership needs. So do subscribe to Afriq 24 if you've not done that, so that whenever we are live, you can always be able to get this kind of stream uninterrupted. I know people are watching me from different channels. Some are watching me from Tembei. So if you're watching me from Tembei and you've not subscribed to Afriq, kindly do that. Karibu sana Black, I can see you. Kalonzo is slowly making his pathway with the tours along with Wamalwa. Yes, Black Kalonzo is making his pathway. That is true. In the absence of Raila, he needed to rise. He needed to prove his worth. You saw him in Coast because he knows he's going to present himself maybe as a presidential candidate and he will lead a running mate. But when he walks with Wamalwa, I also need your opinion on this. Do you think Kalonzo can pick Wamalwa as his running mate? Will ODM allow that? Because Kalonzo is from Wiper, Wamalwa is from DAP-Kenya, and ODM will also not want to be flower girls in such kind of thing because they've always argued that their majority, they have numbers. So will DAP-Kenya manage to get numbers that will make them challenge ODM for the position of running mate or the position of presidency? Yes, we know we are seeing activities taking place there with the Natembeya, and with the exit of ANC, maybe he might be able to convince the Mulembe Nation to join DAP-Kenya. So karibu sana Black, we appreciate your comments, we appreciate your questions and concerns. So you can join this show, you can join this conversation through the comment section by putting your comments there, asking your questions, and even informing us where you are joining us from. Also, if you wish to join the studio and participate in this conversation, I've shared the link on the comment section. Use the link, join the studio, and let us talk as Kenyans. Black is saying that he knows it will be hard just to rely on Rao to instill him. That is a conversation that we are going to look at. Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni, karibuni, karibuni. I won't get tired inviting you. And I also want to remind you that on Friday, we do have a special show that is called Bed of Roses. So don't miss this show. It's exclusively streamed in Afriq. So if you watch us from those other sister channels, you might not have an opportunity to watch it. So ensure that before Friday, you subscribe. Hapa wanaongea mambo ya relationship, mambo na mapenzi, mambo na ndoa na vitu kama hivyo.
Join us every Friday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. for a captivating journey into the world of love, relationships, and romance. Presented by the dynamic trio Maggie Knox, MC Jesse, and Annie Waweru. Bed of Roses promises to be your weekly dose of heartwarming stories, insightful discussions, and expert advice on matters of the heart. Whether you're single, in a relationship, or simply love a good love story, this is the show for you. Don't miss out on the chance to unwind and indulge in the joys and challenges of love, all brought to you by our talented hosts. Tune into Afriq 24 every Friday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and let us guide you through the enchanting world of Bed of Roses. Subscribe now and mark your calendars. You don't want to miss this. See you there.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for following. That was just a small water break, and to remind you of some of the programs that we have for those people who maybe you're not a fan of politics and you need something different. We have you sorted each and every Friday from 8 p.m. East African time to 10 p.m. Ensure you subscribe and wait for the show. We are back. We are back. We are back. Mudavadi has said there is another earthquake. And you know, when Mudavadi talks of earthquakes, it happens. He said earthquake. You saw the earthquake that happened. People laughed. And listen to him.
I want to make it clear, and to other ANC supporters, although I may not be the official party leader today, but as a strong member of the ANC party, I must tell you frankly our conversation must be serious about how to strengthen the Kenya Kwanza administration and how to work very, very closely with the UDA, which is the principal party in the coalition, and to even engage in even deeper debates. Don't ask me which deeper debates. Hiyo nitawaambia baadaye. Earthquake ingine itakuja huko mbele. But the message...
Bonfaz, Mudavadi is saying earthquake inakuja. He's talking of deeper debates. I know when these politicians speak, you also need to think. Does it mean that Mudavadi is trying to get away of, okay, joining ANC to UDA, then they ask for the position of a running mate? Could this one be the deeper debate he's trying to talk of? Just your opinion on that.
Maybe he has the hidden agenda, but when it comes to running mates for this Azimio, I personally, I cannot even agree Musalia Mudavadi being given any position or any position for UDA. So it is going to be tough here. No way he can be given any position, because there are some leaders who have been there and they have been active. So joining and they want to become the next king of that party. But again, UDA, UDA just came the other day. It has not been stabilized. So maybe they are trying to stabilize, as he has said, that they want to make it stronger. So maybe you want to come there, and if he joins and he has that mentality, then it is how they are going to depend to discuss with the leader, who is William Samuel Ruto.
I get you. A lot is happening in politics, and the people should be able to read. And another question, I don't know. We need to speculate because we are not given full information. After the 2022 general election, we saw one of the members of ANC, Malala, joining UDA and calling for winding up of all these parties under Kenya Kwanza so that they can have one party called UDA. Some parties like Ford Kenya opposed to that. Could this one be linked to why Natembeya is busy fighting Ford Kenya and fighting Wetangula? Actually, he's fighting Ford Kenya. He's not fighting ANC. And somebody said that there can be possibility that there is somebody's hand behind Natembeya. In a community I come from, they say when you see a tortoise on top of the table, because a tortoise or the tortoise cannot get itself there, there must be somebody who placed it there. So could it be that there is somebody who is strategically using Natembeya to fight Papawa Roma and Ford Kenya, because Papawa Roma and Ford Kenya have refused to wind up their party and join UDA? I'll maybe get your opinion shortly after maybe we watch this video.
Kuna wengine wamesahau Mungu huko Bungoma. Wako na Yesu huko. Ati wako na Yesu bwana, wako na Yesu ya Tongareni huko. Ati pia wako na Pope. Ati wako na Papa ya Roma huko. Watu wanafanya watu waluya, tunakuwa watu wa brand of jokes everywhere. Hata ukienda mimi ndio Nairobi kule, wakizia natoka weza ambia habari ya Yesu ya Tongareni. We just become like all jokers. And they are happy kufanya hizo vitu. Hao ndio viongozi ambao tuko nao. Viongozi ambao maisha yao yote hajawahi kusacrifice anything for anybody. Viongozi ambao wanatueja, niwaambie watu wetu, hii freedom ambayo watu wanaona watu wanaongea hivi. Kuna mtu ambaye alisimama akaambia Moi. Moi was larger than life. Moi alikuwa kila mahali. Moi alikuwa ameweka intelligence kwa manyumba za watu. Unaishi na bibi kumbe anafanya na intelligence. Unaongea tu maneno na bibi, ikifika asubuhi askari wamekufikia. Ala mama anakuambia unajua mzata hii ukuta iko na masikio. Na kumbe masikio ni yeye. Lakini kuna watu waliambia mzee Moi enough is enough. We want our freedom. Lazima tuongee, si ndio? Sasa ati mimi nikisema papa ya Roma ameingiza watu yetu kwa mtambo kwa umaskini, iko watu wanakuja waniambia kwamba nisiongee. Kweli hawa jamaa kama wangekuwa kina Muliro wakati huo, sisi tungepata independence kweli? Hawa jamaa wangeambia mzungu aende kweli? Hawa kina Chikati wangekuwa napigwa kiboko na mzungu, alafu anaambia mzungu hiyo kiboko iko sawa sawa, ongeza ingine. Yaani unaogopa mtu paka unatetemeka tu. Sisi tumesema mambo ya ugandamiza watu wetu ili wa worship na tembe hiyo imekwisha. Nataka mkuwe na pesa. Hata ukitembea hapa town ukikanyaka nyanya ya mtu mnamalizania hapo. Hawa mama wa nyanya mnaona wanaimba hapa. Enda kanyaga nyanya yake hapa za hii town uone. Mtafikishana kwa polisi. Sisi hatutaki hiyo aibu. Ndio mnaona hii mambo ni ya kuweka pesa kwa mifuko. Sitaki kijana wewe uko na bibi, hapo na mzigo, unaona mama, mambo inaendelea tu, inakuwa kubwa. Wakati mama anakuambia sasa mambo yameharibika usiku, unaanza kupigia na tembea simu hadi mama sasa mambo imekuwa mbaya. Tafuta gari ya kupeleka hospitali. Mama anaenda kujifungua, kutoka hospitali unasema una pesa, una bill ya kulipia mama. Amekuzalia mtoto. Mtoto mwenyewe umezalisha. Unataka wanaume wengine wakuchangie mtoe mama kule, ni kama uchangie kuweka mtoto huko. Aibu. Aibu ya umaskini ndio hiyo. Hakuna aibu ya umaskini ambaye inashinda hiyo. Kutangazia dunia mzima kwa mama amejifungua na huwezi kumleta nyumbani. Hiyo ndio aibu mimi nataka kuondoa Trans Nzoia. Na watu wangu, hii maneno inatisha watu. Kuna watu ambao wanaamini kwamba uongozi yao lazima ashikwe na mtu atanaletwa hapa anasema huyu akuwe gavana na anasema basi ndio hiyo. Wale ambao wanaamini hiyo hawataki mambo ya kufanyia wananchi kazi. Hii maneno inawatisha sana. Mimi ni generali niko mbele. Nyinyi ni soldiers. Nikiangalia nyuma mtakuwa mamutakuwa. Si mtakuwa. Hii mahali imefikia ni kama ile ndege iko runway karibu ina take off. Huwezi kuisimamisha. It either takes off or it crashes. We are not ready to crash. Tumeelewana? Watoto tumeelewana? Na nyinyi wacha niwaambie. Kuna watu ambao wanasifanya kwamba hao ndio wanaongoza Western huko. Western region iko na mabunge karibu 45. Ford Kenya iko na bunge 5. ANC iko na bunge ngapi? 5. Hao wengine wao kwa chama gani? Watu wako kwa UDA, wako kwa Jubilee, wako kwa DAP, wako kwa Independent, wao wanaongoza nini? Ukienda Nyanza ujumbe wote wako kwa ODM. Ukienda kule Mount Kenya wote wako kwa UDA. Na kuna mtu ambaye anaongoza. Hii yetu inaongozwa na nani? Yetu hii inaongozwa kwa nani? Ili siku tukisema watu ya Western, na Western ni jamii zote za Kenya. Tunaenda kwa meza. Nani anatupeleka kwa hiyo meza? Saa hizi nani anatupeleka kwa hiyo meza? Wale viongozi ambao wanajifanya kwamba wao ni wanaongoza sisi. Speaker hapo tuna kura moja ambayo ni muhimu. Ile imewekwa kwa kiti, only one vote. Inaitwa vote ya the president of Kenya ndiye amemweka hapo. Leo hii akiamuka aseme I've got change of mind, I want a different speaker. Kama housing levy jamaa kwa home. Nyinyi kweli mnataka kuongozwa na pilot ya aina hiyo? Na watu wetu viongozi wanafuatanga wananchi. Mali wananchi wanataka kwenda, viongozi wanaendanga huko. Lakini sisi kwetu mnataka kwenda wapi? Mnajuanga kweli? Lazima provide direction na mkatae ushenzi ya watu. Unaona tu mwana anakupeleka tu kwa shimo na unaenda tu. Olukwamo ohanilo liberano. Sasa sisi hapo ndio tupo. Na nyinyi mnajua wakati Trans Nzoia inasambaratika na uongozi, the entire Western region inasambaratika na uongozi. Watu wanapotea tu, wengine wanaenda huko, wengine wanaenda huko. Mtu asikudanganye uingie kwa nyumba ya mtu. Maana wakati wanagawana mali wanaulizanga hii nyumba imeleta nini? Wewe mara huko kwa hii, mara huko kwa hii, mara huko kwa hii. You just ignored.
Na sisi jamii yetu tusema kwamba mambo ya kuworship watu tulitoka huko. Ati mtu akipita hapa sisi wote tunatetemeka hivi ati Papa wa Roma. Papa wa Roma kitu gani? Pope ni moja. Pope ya Kenya ni moja peke yake. Ukianza kusema wewe ni pope na uko na bibi mbili, hiyo ni makosa bwana. Papa wa Roma ni mimi ni Mkatoliki, is just one. So mkianza kujipatia matitles ya kuogopenya sisi, ya kutisha sisi, hizo tuanza hiyo kwa sisi hakuna.
All right, Boniface, the earthquake is coming. Is there any earthquake that is going to be so trembling than the one that is currently being experienced in the western parts of the country? As Natembeya is planning to build one big party for the people of Western, Mudavadi is planning to detach the party and join one big party that has already been established. So who is going to bring the earthquake? Black is saying that being easily handled leadership by Rao will not gain. That is in reference to Kalonzo. Natembeya can beat Kalonzo hands down in a general election. This is a movement that has begun in Western Kenya. Yes, Ruto are now talking. I think we need to look at things in different direction. And that is why I was saying that we are used to having our political choices being micromanaged by the political elites who will want us to discuss, narrow our discussion and our choices between William Ruto and Kalonzo and such kind of things, and they declare something called a two-horse race, whereby if you go there, you either know if I don't want Ruto, I vote Raila. If I don't want both of them, you don't vote because they've said it. There are only two horses. There are people in this country, we don't get good leaders because of that. If like in the last general election, Bonnie, I know you went there. There are only two options. I'm either going to vote Raila or vote out Raila. So if I want Raila, you're not going to vote out Raila. I'm either going to vote Raila or Ruto. If I don't like Raila, I'll vote Ruto whether I like him or I don't like him. So do you think we are going to see an earthquake in form of this kind of wave that we're seeing in Western Kenya?
Nice move. What I can say is this is a nice move. Natembeya is trying to unite the western part of Kenya. And if he joins them together, then definitely we shall have that full support. And I'm very sure that very soon he's going to form a political party for Western people. Because the way he is addressing those people is trying to say, we will not allow anyone to mislead the western part of Kenya. So he is ready and confident to make sure that he unites the western part, and to be specific, the Luhya people. And we know that Luhyas are big tribes. You know, that is a tribe that gives a lot of votes when it comes to general election. So Natembeya is there and he is ready to unite those people. Now he dismisses whatever Wetangula Papa Roma is saying, and he is like, he wants to make those people feel what it means by being a Luhya, because he is proud of being a Luhya, and he wants to unite and bring those people together so that they can be strong as other tribes when it comes to politics and giving out political leaders.
There's this question. I just want to pose it to you, though I know you don't come from Western. This by one Wahome Tuku, who says, I've been listening to these two guys, especially Natembea cheering Weta. For Wetangula, the earliest he can make a trial at the presidency is 2032. I think you know the reason why, yeah? Unless he wants to fight Ruto in 2027. For Natembea, he can try it in 2027 and again in 2032. So, who between the two will be more relevant in 2022 in the Western Kenyan politics? Is it Wetangula or Natembea? Even on the comment section there, people I know can be able to respond. I can see Kenneth Kirui Karibu. No Raila, no Mandamano. Kenneth Kirui from Bomet. Kenneth, why do you think when Raila is not there, there's going to be no Mandamano? And already Kalonzo said that if the NADCO report is not going to be implemented, he's going to call for Mandamano. And he's saying that he's not even going to lead the Mandamano. Kenyans will take themselves. Why do you say no Raila, no Mandamano? Geoffrey Ruto and Natembea can beat Kalonzo hands down in a general election. This is a movement that has begun in Western Kenya. And I've also asked a simple and interesting question from Wahome Tuku, that who between Natembea and one Moses Masika Wetangula will be more relevant in 2032, because Wetangula cannot fight Ruto in 2027. He can't oppose Ruto. He can't campaign against Ruto. He's Ruto's subject. He's been employed by Ruto. Because I think maybe the mistake he did was to resign as a senator to become a speaker. Because as a senator, he was elected by people, and he will still do anything that he wants. But right now, because the only vote that put him there is the vote of the president, he can't vie for presidency in 2027 unless he decides to take a risk. But for Natembea, he can vie. Whether he wins or he doesn't win, he can vie and register his name. He can vie before Wetangula. Then again, they meet in 2032. So, Boni, how do you answer that question? Who between Natembea and Weta will be more relevant in 2032?
Natembea definitely is going to be having a lot of support from Kenyans, because I have been following closely the kind of meeting he has been having, the kind of crowd that has been following him, and it's like a lot of people trust in George Natembea, who's the governor of Trans Nzoia County. So I think he's going to have that numbers when it comes to 2032 and also 2027. That is why George Natembea, he has something that is cooking in his mind. He knows that whenever I am doing this, then definitely I'm building the foundation for presidency come 2027 or 2037. And maybe you want to overtake and become the next Raila Amolo Odinga. You want to become the next king of Luya nation. You know, Raila has been there, but you know, Raila represents the whole country. People love Azimio. But again, here, Natembea is specific that western part of Kenya, Luyas are going to come together when it comes to election.
Thank you. I can see Inspire Women is saying that Wetangula is a coward. He can't lead a herd of sheep. Natembea Tosha. And another argument of the question is that, you know, Wetangula cannot be able to contest for presidency in 2027 simply because it will mean he's opposing his boss. But Natembea can. That is it. That is it. That is what is happening. So let us wait and see this earthquake that Musalia Mudavadi has promised Kenyans. We don't know this time round which earthquake he is going to bring, but we will wait and see. Bonnie, as we move on, there is something that is happening. Okay, you've seen there was this succession politics in ODM, whereby people are really trying to strategically position themselves to replace Raila and such kind of that. But as it stands now, in ODM, there is something that is happening as it stands now. I just want to get it so that I can be able to show you what is happening. Right now, as it stands, when Raila came, he decided that he is not going to let his succession in vacuum. He is not going to allow people fight, and maybe he feels that this one can lead to a situation whereby the party will be so distorted that it will be divided. So he initiated some two crucial meetings that is aimed at establishing structures and plans for his succession. And people argue that, okay, they're going to have some meeting. I think I'll get that report. They're going to have some meeting. The NEC is going to have some meeting whereby they're going to rectify some of the provisions in the ODM constitution to get a way of getting a successor. And this is what is going to happen. The Azimio leader Raila Odinga has rolled out the succession process in his ODM party, and they've called the key party organ meetings in the next 1 week to hammer out a formula. So he's said that he's trying to come up with a formula that is going to balance this kind of delicate thing called succession. And Raila has confirmed a meeting on succession issue. I think one of them is going to happen on Wednesday next week, which he will chair the party's central management committee, and another one on 9th. I think he will preside over the National Executive Council to adopt the radical decisions. So among the radical proposals, people think that number one option that he's having, because he's going to AU, they can try to get away of him remaining the party leader if in his absence, but AU will not allow him. So the option is he can decide to have Oparanya as the party leader and Wandai and Joho be the deputy. I don't know how maybe that one can work when Raila decides that, okay, let us have Oparanya as the party leader, then they get one Opiyo Wandai to deputize Oparanya together with the Joho. That doesn't mean they'll have to maintain their current whatever. They'll have to maintain their current system that allows two deputies. Another option that is also being predicted is that Raila can decide that they can have Wandai as a party leader, Oparanya chairperson, and Joho maybe a deputy party leader. They can also decide that they have Oparanya as the party leader. That one I said. So that's some of the options that he's having. So let us wait and see if this one will work. So I don't know, Bonnie, your opinion on this. Do you think that this one is going to solve the problem that is there in ODM currently, if Raila decide that now they are going to have a meeting, and as ODM they decide on how to do it that will accommodate everyone so that nobody is left out? Of course, you know, this kind of decision is going to determine a lot of things, because the person who will become the running mate maybe to Kalonzo, or who will become a presidential candidate in 2027, depends on the person who will become the party leader of ODM. If, for example, it's Joho, then there's a possibility Joho can become a running mate to Kalonzo Musyoka. So they also have to put that in consideration. If it is Opiyo Wandai or if it is Oparanya, unless they do it differently. Goodyear is telling us that Kalonzo can't mobilize any protest. Natembeya is a straight up and likable person, but she'll stop the supporters from being violent. I think what has always defined the African politics, and majorly they don't say that is violent. They say you are being aggressive in African way. Of course, it is violent. You know, even the Wetangula's brand of politics has always been one of suppressing his opponents. That is how he dealt with the Muskari Combo, and the Muskari Combo had to exit the scene. Mudavadi and Wetangula have lost their political taste. It will take them time forever to gain back trust from Kenyans. I think this one is also making sense, and that is why it is easy for somebody like Natembeya to give them sleepless nights. That is why you see Mudavadi, who is a senior leader, deciding that he is going to wind up his party and lead his party members to UDA. Already one of his party members is the Secretary General in UDA. So Bonnie, maybe I just want to know your opinion on this. ODM is planning this series of meetings or meetings of the topmost organs to decide the succession. Will this one solve the problem and ensure that a succession is now done smoothly?
No, 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 no. It is not. It is not. It is not, because things are not in the right order. Because if Raila Odinga joins, then there will be a big loop. Who is going to take over? So I think it is going to
That is
take
why they
them.
are. That is why they are calling a meeting to see how they are going to deal with that first part of taking over, like who is now going to replace Raila and such kind of thing. So, do you think this one is going to stop ODM from breaking?
No, even in that meeting they are calling, I am very sure that things are going to eat up, because some are going to suggest, others are going to be suggested, and in between them, then there will raise a conflict, because some leaders will not be quoted to take over, and that one is going to raise a lot of concerns, because if Karua is not quoted, I'm very sure that she's going to raise eyebrows. If Baba Wino is not quoted there, I'm very sure that he is going to cause a lot of problems. If Kalonzo Musyoka is not quoted, is going to raise a lot of problems, and that is where, in between the members who will be called for that meeting, there will be a lot of eat up, because there are some members there that are going to be waiting to be quoted to take over, but again, they will not be quoted. So what is going to happen is that they are going to raise concerns on why are they not quoted, and I'm very sure that the meeting will not be successful. So it is high time that Raila Odinga acts wisely, because he is mzee and upanapo wazee hapakose neno. So Raila must act wisely. If he joins
Okay,
AU,
according to the ODM party, they have a constitution, but in their constitution, they did not put a provision on how succession can be done. That is why they are calling the meeting for the party members, not people like Alonso, not members of ODM, so that they can go and put on such provision and see how it is going to be done. And if the members, NEC members agree and they pass it, they update it as part of their constitution, so they will follow that. And Inspire Women is saying that I'm finding it a bit tricky for ODM to settle on Baba's choice, because everybody is scrambling to take over from Baba. So let us wait. They've called 2 meetings, and in these meetings, the main aim is to go and come up with a way of doing this thing without tearing the party apart. Boni, do you think if they give it to like Oparanya will be able to steer the party well?
he can try. Oparanya can try, but again, he is a very cool guy. And when it comes to politics of Kenya, we believe that someone who is cool and humble is not going to be listened by Kenyans. Kenyans want someone who is rude, someone who can make decisions confidently without fear. Oparanya has been there in politics, but he's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. Same way we were saying about being a nice person. He is a nice guy. But again, he is not the kind of leaders that Kenyans want.
All right, Geoffrey Ruto is telling me that Raila will divide this nation with these Azimio leaders even more than it is right now with these crucial meetings. Geoffrey is not about Azimio. This is about ODM. For the Azimio, they don't have any issue at Azimio. For Azimio, it is obviously if today Raila exits the scene, they know the most senior most person, that one nobody can even challenge it. It's Stephen Kalonzo. So the only two people who are senior there is Kalonzo, who is the head of Wiper, and we are having Karua, who is the head of NAC, and people like Mwangi Wairia and people like Wajakoya, who are party leaders. So the only party that is going to remain without a party leader is ODM. So ODM needs a party leader so that their party leader can be able to sit on the same table with Kalonzo, Wairia, and the rest. But going by the past and maybe reality, if Raila is not there, then Wipe, I think, is the second largest party in that coalition, and Kalonzo is the senior most in that coalition. So it's so obvious that Kalonzo will be the leader of Azimio. I don't think there's somebody from ODM or from NAC Kenya who would want to challenge that. But it's politics. Yeah, we have to agree. It's politics. That is what is happening. And Kalonzo, so far, he started working on his political path. He started going across the country, trying to market himself so that he can be able to prove to the people that he can be able to take it. Yesterday, was it yesterday? He claimed that William Ruto is planning to steal his vote. So I'll just play for you that. He claimed that. So already he started hitting the ground. Those people still believe that he's yet to identify an agenda that can identify with him, something that people can see him and say, okay, Kalonzo stands
Away
for
from
this.
health matters, let's shift focus to politics, where Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka now says the Kenya Kwanza regime wants to rig the forthcoming elections by interfering with the National Dialogue Committee report. Speaking in Mombasa, Kalonzo Musyoka also reiterated that he will lead the opposition demonstrations if the Kenya Kwanza regime continues with its mission to undermine the bipartisan report. Our political affairs reporter, Emmanuel Tor, has more details.
In the last day of his 3-day marathon trip to the coastal region, the Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and the DAP-Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa touched base at the Mombasa Governor Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir's office with a message to the Kenya Kwanza government. Kalonzo arguing that the Kenya Kwanza administration was deliberately interfering with the National Dialogue Committee report in a bid to rig the 2027 election.
And when we have a product which can at least help the country move forward, tunaona jama za udanganyifu tena.
Do we want to tell the Kenya Kwanza government that if they will go on by whichever means to unilaterally form the next IEBC, that IEBC will not be a Kenyan IEBC. It will be a Kenya Kwanza IEBC.
For those of you who are aware, during the last elections as well, our party leaders were very, very key in the support, especially after what happened when IEBC cancelled the elections for Mombasa and Kakamega.
The leaders also threatening to rally their supporters back to the streets if the government continues to scuttle the implementation of the report.
Kama kutakuwa na umuhimu wa Wanakenya, wananchi wa Kenya kurudi kwa maandamano, itakuwa tayari madaktari wametutangulia. Kwa hivyo tunaangalia mambo haya.
And we've had one of our colleagues, Kimani Uchungwa, saying now because bei ya unga imeshuka, kwa hivyo gharama ya maisha imeshuka. One item kama unga kushuka does not mean gharama ya maisha imeshuka.
Similarly, the leaders put the government on notice for failing to end runaway corruption, including one surrounding the subsidized fertilizer.
Fertilizer fake hii, Wakenya wanaiangalia sana. Makusudio na kisha hatimaye itakuwaji. Sisi sio kazi yetu kuambia Ruto awafute kazi ama asiwafute. Wakenya wanaona.
The duo also maintaining that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya camp was still intact despite the simmering succession battle for the opposition chief who is angling for the AU commission job. The statement coming hours after Odinga, who had just jetted back into the country from the UK and Dubai, calling for calm in the quest to inherit his political base.
Ukileta hiyo fikra ya kugawanya chama kwenye msingi ya maeneo utasambaratisha chama. Nataka ODM ibaki vile iko, the strongest and most organized political party in East and Central Africa.
Emmanuel.
All right. I think you've seen that Kalonzo ameita maandamano. Good, you're seeing that the politicians are not getting their priority right. They should be acting on public's living standards and breadline instead of fighting for the upcoming positions and the IBC and such kind of things. And that is why I was asking that, yes, Kalonzo, you've said have hit the ground, but we are yet to see what he's telling Kenyans that he will do when elected as president. I think that one is left to his political managers or the people who handle him. They'll ensure that they get some wordings or they get some hashtags and they pack his communication well so that people can be able to know his agenda. And that is the only thing that is going to make him electable. So, Bonnie, I just want to ask you maybe your view on this Mandamano, if Kalonzo can be able to sustain Mandamano without the backing of Raila, if Kenyans can be able to go on the streets, because Kalonzo have called them to go on the streets. And Inspire Women is also saying, unfortunately, Kalonzo won't be able to wrestle Ruto in 2027. This will confirm the Ruto sentiments of 2027 walkover. Take this to KCB. I also think that Kenyans will also try and start thinking of somebody else who is so aggressive. Already, I can see some people saying that there's Natembea there. So let us wait and see what is going to happen. Or Kenyans are going to be having their choices narrowed the way they've always been saying to Kalonzo and Ruto duel. I don't know. Kalonzo and his supporters, Wamalwa, are allergic to tear gas. These two cannot threaten anyone. That is according to Goodyear, that Kalonzo and his supporters are allergic to tear gas and they cannot be able to threaten anyone. Karibu sana Black, happy to see you this evening. Maybe before I go to Bonnie, I can give you this chance maybe to also weigh on what we've been discussing. I saw you are following on the background. Okay, so you can just say hello and maybe give some remarks before I take it back to Bonnie. I think Black is having
Let
some.
me try. Let me try.
Okay,
Let me
it's
try
okay.
position myself. My
It's
network.
okay.
My network is not so good.
I think Black is having some issues with the network, so you can just proceed and maybe you are to give your comment on this issue of Kalonzo calling for Mandamano, as you also give your remarks as we wind it. You know, when left ikiwa tamu hivi, that is when it's nice. So I can give you that time.
What I can say is that Kalonzo, he has no idea on how to call Mandamano. You cannot just wake up and say that we are going back to the streets tomorrow. You have to have that strategy. You have to tell the Kenyans, why are we going to the Mandamano? Because we experienced a lot of people being killed in that Mandamano. So you cannot just tell someone to go to the street so that he can demonstrate. And when you are called for those meetings, then you are the one who benefits. And you know that people lose their lives. After you lose your life, then definitely that is the end of you. But again, these leaders, they are not there. And when they are there, they have those bullets. So what is there is a Kalonzo. Maybe he can say that you can go back to the street, but Kenyans will not just comply as the same way they comply when Raila Odinga says, tomorrow we are going back to the streets. I think Kalonzo needs to install that mentality to Kenyans that he can be the next leader. And this one will all happen by what he promises to Kenyans. He needs to tell Kenya, he needs to make Kenyans understand what is he going to offer if he becomes the next president. Because he has been playing a low-key game, and this is not what it entails about Kenyan politics. Kenyan politics is a jungle for the lion. So you need to be the best lion so that you can win. And if you are so soft, then definitely you are going to lose when it comes to this election. So Kalonzo, by this act of calling a maandamano, I think there is going to fail terribly.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Kalonzo calling Mandamano is going to fail terribly. I get you because people say that, you know, previously he's not shown to be so aggressive, but I believe he can have some people who are aggressive behind him. He can have the youths like the Babus and the Sifonas behind him. And then from that, maybe he can be able to succeed in doing the Raila's aggressive politics. So that I just want to say from this end, thank you so much for getting time and joining this talk show. And I welcome you tomorrow, same time, same place. And if you've not subscribed to Afriq, kindly ensure that you subscribe to Afriq so that you won't miss on any of these kind of discussions. And maybe if all gets well, we are working on how we can maybe have a similar discussion in the morning hours for the viewers who are in Kenya and maybe find it awkward to attend this kind of conversation at midnight. Like right now, I know there are some people right now, you know, they are planning to go to job tomorrow and such kind of things. But the stream is always on the YouTube, so you can always follow up later. So thank you so much, Black. I understand you're having challenge with network. I hope tomorrow it will be okay and we'll have some conversations. Geoffrey, Ruto, asante sana, Inspire Women. Thank you so much. It was nice having you today. Kenneth Kirui kutoka Bomet. Karibu sana Kenneth. Nasalimia watu wa Bomet. Tumekuwa naye Gudia. Karibu sana, and thank you for always keeping it here. Mason Sanders, of course, we had Brother Benson Media. Karibu sana. From this end, I just have to say thank you so much. Of course, there was somebody called Betty, there was somebody called Ruth, and Caleb Ndolo Associates. Asanteni sana na muwe na usiku mwema. So from this end, I just want to say thank you and good night. Let us meet tomorrow.